Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Joe here, making another video. This one will be focused, pretty short, should be focused on just publishing to a website. Hopefully with the idea that you run and manage your own, because that's what I do. So it's just going to be a quick upload, to the web, and then we can see that it's working. Now, if you don't have your own website or someone else, manages it, you may be able to use this to forward to them or something like that. It's pretty basic. Since Construct 2 publishes in HTML5 format, it's pretty standard web files, and any web developer that looks at them will, pretty much know what to do. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into it. This first one we're going to cover posting to the web, and then I'm going to make another video showing how I can kind of import that into Facebook. So how I have some games hosted on Facebook, which aren't live right now, is I have the games hosted on my own website, and using just a kind of a feed URL in my Facebook developer account. And that, since I'm using that method, that also requires security on my website side, which I have that anyway for other reasons. So I'll go through that in the next video. Alright, so this is the game that we were working on for the Patreon account, what have you. And I don't think I've picked up on anything yet, or any new designs or anything like that. So let's get into the export options. The export options will be under File, and you can go to Export Project. So these are all the export options with Construct 2. Now they are developing Construct 3, which I believe has more of a subscription license rather than a flat-out license like Construct 2 has. That's why I liked Construct 2, and I bought it originally to start learning things, is because if I just buy a license and that's all I need is one, that's pretty good. We're going to use HTML5. Now there's a bunch of other options that I can go through in a different video. This one I want to keep to the point. For instance, showing you how to export into an Android installer package is also available or possible. However, it takes not only Construct but also some other types of things to kind of basically take an HTML5 format and repackage it into an APK format or other types of formats. Alright, so we're going to use HTML5. Now before I hop in here, I'm going to show you a little preliminary. I am going to host the website files in this folder, and right now you can see it's empty. And I am going to upload to my website, however, under folder and as Patreon. And usually the starting page for a website is some sort of index file, whether it be HTML or PHP or ASP, what have you. I say that a lot. Alright, so right now that's blank. I did upload an index file there earlier because if this wasn't here, you'd get kind of a 404 error, which could be the same thing. The general idea is that it's not there. And we're going to go back later, and we're going to see all this stuff populated, and you can see how it triggers. Okay, so first, let's see. Let me go over these settings for Norton Patreon. The first layout we have is going to be loading, so we should see when we access this game on the web, the first thing we should see is this. Right now we're at localhost, obviously, because we're testing. That's an internal network IP address if you're not familiar with that. Okay, let's go ahead and export HTML5. Publish to your own website. Users can play your game in a browser and bookmark it. Also use this option for iOS web apps and Facebook games. So there's just one option, and I am going to choose, here you can pick your path. I don't know if that's the right one. I don't think so, because I think the default path it gives you is where your actual project file is located, and I actually keep those separate because I don't want to inadvertently upload my project files to the website. I'd rather only my web files be out there. Norton Steele's website. Boom. And you can choose certain other options. Subfolder for images. You can change that if you want to, like if you want your folder to be something non-standard. An idea could be something like if you had any weird fear about your images or anything being mined, you can change these to something that's less standard. You know, because a lot of times if someone's mining the internet for data or pictures or something, they would look for standard. Most likely. I mean, this wouldn't really even do anything, but one thing they could look for is images folder. Another thing they could look for is just simple file extensions, which would kind of kaput the whole thing anyway. Subfolder for project files. This would be for like the graphics and the media, the pictures, the sound files. Ping compression, PNG compression or recompression. This is for your images, and it can be whether or not you want to have your images super compressed, which could end up helping the game's performance, but also maybe inadvertently causing the graphics to look a little too compressed. Sometimes you can overdo it with compression to where the quality gets really distorted. So we're just going to stick for standard right now. A little information button. Minifying the script makes the download smaller and harder to decompile. You must have Java installed to run the minifier. So usually this is installed by default, so we're going to keep that. Click next. Templates. Normal style, advert bar, and embed. So normal style displays non-full screen games centered horizontally on the page and full screen games using the whole browser window. Advert bar style is kind of, as with normal style, but adds a bar beside the game where an advert or other HTML content can be placed. This is probably used for advertising. Could be used for like a, maybe you can make an external or side-by-side chat window that's kind of outside of the game, that kind of thing. A weird example. Embed style. Display aligned top left with no margins and scroll bars disabled, suitable for embedding in an iframe, useful for publishing to arcades like web arcades, like probably the Sierra arcade. We're just going to use normal style for now. I can probably go through and show you some comparisons later on. I think that would probably be best done in an image format. Now, if you click here, this will take you to a website, Sierra's website, and they have a bunch of articles and stuff on tips on publishing, to certain games. They have all sorts of tutorials and whatnot to help you also get started and, to go through settings and stuff like that. So here's some options if you wanted to thoroughly read through this. Close that bad boy. Let's continue. Make this video kind of short. Excuse me. The project was successfully exported. Alright, I usually never open the destination folder. I don't know why. I like to close it, get it back here, and then separate, I'll open my destination folder, which, as you know, is stored here. So now you actually see we have files, and if you're used to excuse me, web-based files, HTML document, JScript files, JSON file, and here you can see all your images. The image directory has all, has my loading screen or the splash screen. Wolfhowl sound, so that's my audio. Oh yeah, I was saying images might be stored in media. That was dumb. That was not correct. Alright, so now we have these, and I mean, these are basic web files. So I'm going to go ahead and upload them to my website and then show you that everything's functional. Keep this over here just to show you things still, this is still pretty much blank. And what's going to happen is next time we recall this after uploading, it's actually going to access that file, and this file uses all this other stuff. Or that's what, the base file, which calls all the JavaScript and stuff like that. Alright, and I use Dreamweaver because basically it's the staple. I mean, it was. I just like it. I've used some other programs for web design, and some of them are more, simpler, some of them are more complex, have different options. Anyway, with Dreamweaver, I already preloaded all my settings to my website, so my IP address, my username and password, all that good stuff. Right now we're on the local view, and you'll notice I am mapped to my desktop folder, and we can see the same files that are in this folder. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to select the entire folder, and we're going to go ahead and upload. Do you want to put the, you know, I'm going to cancel that because how I set this up, I'm still fearful that I might overwrite something I don't want to. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm just going to upload this stuff. And that could be silly, but whatever. Yeah. I just didn't test it before I shot this. I tested uploading files. I didn't test uploading the entire site. Okay, so we're all good there. And let's go ahead and load this. Oh, we gotta wait for that to refresh a little bit, because it does take some time. There we go. Oh, something happened. Oh, that's not good. So I'll just have to do some research later. Now you might not be able to hear this, but the wolf sound is playing. And so everything's loaded. So it's on my website. Great. You know, I'll go back to my web page. You know, everything's great there. Click on the actual direct link. Boom, here we go. And probably what I would do is I would have, you know, a link be for the direct game itself, but then I'd also have kind of a landing page for the game, kind of describing it like I did with Pong. You know, this is the Pong page, however, the direct link is under the games folder. Alright, so that was pretty basic. We caught that one little snag, which I'm super annoyed by. I'll try to figure that out and get some information back to you, because I'm interested. Something, I've never had that crash with Firefox. I've had it crash with Chrome once. I've never tested Internet Explorer. I probably should. Alright, so we're all done here. I think that pretty much covers everything. Yeah, and then since we have that published, the next thing would be we could import this into Facebook, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and keep that to a separate video so we can keep these short and sweet.